Okay, well, we'll go ahead and get started. I'm Andrea Langrish, Managing Director of the Center for C-SPAN Scholarship and Engagement. I'd like to welcome you to our social media strategy and the C-SPAN Video Library Workshop. I would like to introduce today Dr. Robert Browning, who is the Faculty Director for the Center for C-SPAN Scholarship and Engagement and the Executive Director for the C-SPAN Archives. Dr. Browning?
It's a pleasure to welcome and introduce Howard Mortman today to our workshop. I've known Howard for too long. He's a communication director for C-SPAN. He hosts a podcast, which is extraordinary. And above all things, he's an expert in the C-SPAN video library. He lives in it, and he tweets for C-SPAN and himself, and is always on top of whatever is happening, a new death, a new person who appears in the news and has been in the video library, all kinds of things. And so he's going to talk to us today about strategies for using the video library in social media. He's also the author of a book that relies so heavily on the video library called When Rabbis Bless Congress. It's a story of Jewish prayers on Capitol Hill, and it was published in 2020. We won't say that he went to the University of Maryland and is a Terp, but he also does stand-up comedy, so you might get a couple jokes today. So Howard, go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Browning. I appreciate that. Hey, this is great. This is actually a huge honor, and welcome to fellow C-SPANers, and also more importantly, probably the guests who have joined us. I'm excited about this. I love this topic. I love the video library that Dr. Browning is the architect of, and I love what Andrea and the gang is doing to promote this. And I have lots of video to show. Dr. Browning is right. We hope to make this fun but informative, and come away with a couple tips and stuff. I want to be interactive. So Dr. Browning, as we go along, pause me, stop me, ask questions, and so on. I want to start off on a serious note, kind of like a big picture of C-SPAN and social media. And it's kind of, it's from a 30,000 foot level, it's a philosophical distinction of why does C-SPAN tweet, and why does C-SPAN post on Facebook? Why does C-SPAN have Instagram accounts? Why does C-SPAN have a brand new TikTok? Why does C-SPAN have a YouTube channel? Because C-SPAN at the core, everything C-SPAN is about in our mission is basically antithetical to what social media is all about. C-SPAN is about C-SPAN is about showing full events. None of our own editorial voices involved in selecting and choosing. We let you watch the whole event, and here's an 8-hour hearing, sit down, watch it, and form your own decisions. Then we get to the social media side of stuff, which is the opposite of here's a clip, here's a quick moment, a potential newsy or at least interesting, or in some cases a fun moment from our coverage. So these are different, they have different purposes, but they intersect, and they intersect because we want people to follow us on social media because we want to be where they are. They may not be watching us on television. They may not be listening to C-SPAN radio. God forbid they're not going to the website, cspan.org, although everybody should go to cspan.org. But they are living, this is kind of like we are joining them in their conversation. So this is, for us, social media is a great way to show the video that we have and show our coverage of politics and our coverage of the White House and Congress and so on, and sharing video. And if they're not going to come to us, we need to go to them and show things. So that's kind of like the big picture of why we're on social media. It's very important to point out at the very beginning that what we do on social media is the same as what we do on TV and on the website. And that is, we don't interject our own editorial voice into it. We don't shape the narrative for you. Just like C-SPAN at the core is subject, verb, object. Very straightforward. Here's what you're seeing. and we don't add our voice. When we do a clip, we say, here's what President Biden said today in Scranton. We don't say, my goodness, can you believe what President Biden said today in Scranton? So, it's again straightforward, which for social media purposes is bad, because social media is all about getting attention. It's using flamboyant, aggressive language to draw attention, to draw clicks, to draw views. And we take that out of the game for ourselves to be consistent with the C-SPAN mission. So everything we do and earn, the viewers are really, this is actually for me the joy of watching video that I clip or we share go big, because it goes big for all it goes big for all the right reasons, that people want to see it, not because we're making fun of anybody. So it's as we go through this hour, it's the same rules that you get from C-SPAN of just keeping our voice out of it. At the end, C-SPAN, even though our staff don't have our own voices, we are a network that's full of voices, full of opinions, full of attitude, and that is the people we cover, or the callers that we hear, so on. So that's kind of like the big picture, Dr. Browning. Do you want to chime in and add anything to that?
Just this weekend there was a big change in Twitter. What do you see in the White House right now? Trump was so big till he got banned at the end of his term, but does the White House rely on Twitter as much as it used to?
So it's great, because it's a great question here. We've seen over the Obama administration did a lot of stuff on social media only, and I don't want to say hid stuff, but put pictures out before the media got to see things. Trump was going in a complete different direction. He put everything out. I mean, he made policy on Twitter. Biden is somewhere in the middle. The Biden White House, they see the value to it and getting their message out and reaching reporters, but he's hardly a social media sensation on there. So, and I think it's a mixture of old school media. Here's the full speech, here's the briefing room, here's the press release, and mixing that up with the social media. Now, it's very important for people to know that we put President Biden on our social media because he's the president, and for balance, we'll put President Trump, former President Trump, on for balance and tweet out his video as well. Big difference for us versus the White House is we are not advocating. We are not trying to put President Biden or former President Trump in a better light than they do for themselves. And also, just on a practical matter, they have President Biden and the White House have dozens of people on their social media staff, and we have 2 or 3. So, we try to keep up. But I would say Biden uses social media, and the team uses social media the right way, meaning they use it to get out their messaging, but they are not as coy or cagey about how they're using it as others have been.
Okay, so what are some guidelines that either C-SPAN follows or you would tell other people who are on this call that you ought to follow these kind of points when you think about Twitter or other social media?
The biggest thing for me when you're for me, it's authenticity. It's showing, it's being truth, of being the value for you on social media. For me at least, is not trying to be the first one out with a hot take, of trying to, and I'm not going to do that at C-SPAN, but being the first one to say, I hate air conditioning. Let's argue about air conditioning. It's, if people who are on social media, try to stir up trouble all day long. For me, the value is not that. The value is bringing information, bringing something new, a perspective, a historical connection, context that people haven't thought of or seen before, and getting people to value of being additive to the conversation. I'm a Twitter guy. I love Twitter, and I still do. And I think the value for Twitter on Twitter is to be like, if there's an alley to be created, it's as you said at the beginning, it's using video to tell a story in a nonpartisan way. I love that challenge. I love the challenge of threading the needle. Of how do you appeal to all sides in what you share? And I think if you are able to figure that out, of saying, well, I'm not an angry person, I'm not a particularly happy person, but I love, I love presenting something new. Here's an example. If you go on YouTube and you find a video on YouTube and you share it on Twitter, you say, hey, look at this video I found. This is really interesting. Probably is really interesting. For me, the problem is that you're finding a video that someone else has already posted. If I can start bringing it on home to the love of the video library, when I clip and share from the video library, chances are I'm showing a video no one's ever seen before. And that eureka moment is the real joy for me. And that's where, it comes across in the tweets. And I'm talking C-SPAN writ large. And so there's two things, I'm talking about two levels here. C-SPAN is a corporate entity, and then me interacting with my audience. I have 20,000 followers. C-SPAN has over 2 million followers. So, I have a little more elbow room of what I can do, making points without saying it. So that's the brand of what value do you bring. For me, the value is the loving of politics, a passion for politics, and a passion for finding the old video and connecting it to what's happening now.
Okay, do you have an example of something that would show how you're doing that?
I do, and I am going to share screen. And Dr. Browning, can you tell me if you see my shared screen here?
Oh, yeah.
All right. I am just going to go into my Twitter account, and if people might be watching this on video on demand, and they might be watching this later, but so everybody knows, we are taping this on Halloween. So let's play this.
Good to see you guys. Thanks a lot. Oh, look at the witch there. And also the princess. All right. Gonna work. Oh, come on, fella. Now you guys, look at the pirate. There's the pirate. Happy Halloween. It's a turtle.
Driver, can you get up?
The turtle and three witches.
We want to get right next to him. Right even with him. Huh?
How you going? Thank you all. Hi, Jason Bunny. Halloween Bunny. Victory. Character, that's what it's all about. Hey, kids. Now, oh, you look great. Happy Halloween. Hey, thank you. Arriba. Thank you.
All right. So let me stop sharing. I'm going to go back to you, Dr. Browning, and I'll talk to you. All right. So that's one of my all-time favorite videos in the video library, and it's a treat and a joy for me to be able to tweet that. It's a joy for me to be able to share with you right now. A couple of things happening there. That was 30 years ago today. That was October 31st, 1992. C-SPAN on I think a train. I think that was Mark Farkas's voice, if you heard closely. The C-SPAN on a train next to President Bush train, which there's so much wrapped up in that. First of all, I can't imagine the Secret Service now allowing that kind of shot. Another thing, just the video itself is so much fun. It's Bush, pure Bush. A fourth thing I love about that, a lot of the video in the video library from the Bush era, the Bush folks now don't know about. I actually, every so often, I send them tweets that I've done, to the Bush 40, with the Bush 41 library, and they've never seen it before. They love this stuff because there's no record of that. So that's my annual Halloween Bush tweet. This comes from, now what I showed is the end product of a tweet that I did, but the video was shown on the call-in program, in the morning program. I think before it was called Washington Journal, but November 1st, 1992. And I went back and Brian Lamb showed that clip when he had reporters on. It could be have filmed it. So I got that from inside a Washington Journal segment. And I just clipped that out because that was the only place that I'd seen that. So I can show more, or you can reflect on that clip as well, Dr. Browning. But do you have any reflections?
Well, HW was 92 was a tough year for him because of the economy was tough and he was being beaten up by Pat Buchanan, and also on the other side, Bill Clinton, who ultimately won the election. So he was, there's a lot of, if you've never seen the mimicking of George H.W. Bush in the New Hampshire diners by Saturday Night Live, which is, it's so hard to tell the reality from the Saturday Night Live pieces. And I'm sure Howard has found those and tweeted those out. So
I have, yes, sir. So cool. All right, let me go to another one. And I'm going to go back to share screen. And I'm going back to, these are just things that I tweeted today in preparation for this, but also I would have done this anyway. So I'm going to go back to my Twitter feed and I am going to show, hold on a second. Okay. All right, I'm going to show this now. Dr. Browning, cover your ears. We're going to have some, I'm going to show former President Trump here, but it's going to be some coarse language coming up. So we want to warn our affiliates, but what they might hear. This tweet is in the context of Elon Musk now running Twitter. This tweet comes from our coverage of Trump MAGA rally in Alaska, July 2022, July 9th. So here we go. I'm going to let this play.
And go out, by the way, while I'm here and sign up now for Truth Social. It's hot as a pistol. And you see that, I pulled that one right. Leon, I tell you what, Elon is not going to buy Twitter. Where did you hear that before? From me. From me, fake account. She says fake, a lot of them. Nah, he's got himself a mess. You know, he said the other day, oh, I've never voted for a Republican. I said, I didn't know that. He told me he voted for me. So he's another bullshit artist, but he's not going to be buying it. He's not going to be buying it. Although he might later, who the hell knows what's going to happen. He's got a pretty rotten contract. I looked at his contract, not a good contract, but he's not. Sign up for Truth. We love the truth. It's doing good.
All right, let me stop sharing and I'll go back to you, Dr. Browning. So I picked that for obvious reasons. Do you have any, I'll throw it to you, Dr. Browning. Do you have any reflection on that clip we just showed there? By the way, and I know Richard's is participant here. Thanks to the website, we have the Trump rallies and they're a lot of fun to watch and pick and choose from and, you know, and all that. So anyway, so I picked that connection to the news today and for showing. Dr. Browning, do you have any reflection on that
what,
clip?
just on his new social truth, is that having any impact?
It's funny, it's having impact when people take screenshots of what he says and puts those on Twitter because not that many people are actually using it, but it's the only way he puts messaging out. And so they, you know, they say, hey, did you see what he said at Truth Social? He retruthed somebody, but you know, the screenshots involved. I think a lot of his staff or associates use other apps like Telegram and WhatsApp and so on. I'm going to be bold and be on C-SPAN. I can make a prediction that I'm not going to predict whether or not he gets readmitted to Twitter, but I will predict that if he does get readmitted to Twitter, the value of his Truth Social will rapidly diminish because he had, I think, like 69 or so followers. Dr. Brown, do you know how many followers since you mentioned President Biden on Twitter, how many followers, actually, no, I'm sorry, not President Biden, how many followers does Barack Obama have on Twitter? It's a huge number.
I don't know, maybe Andrea can look that up.
And as Andrea looks it up, I think it's like 128 million.
Really?
Yeah, it's a giant number. So, you know, it's you know, it gets up there. So it's an impressive number. Actually, you know what? Oh, since I mentioned Barack Obama, let me go back to share screen for a second. and just do one more I did today in preparation for this. Here's hold on a second. Let's see. Okay, here just this would be really fast. All right, Dr. Browning. So I'm going to ask you. I'm going to go back to stop sharing if I can. Wait, one second.
He's not wearing mom jeans there, is he?
I'll just keep my screen on. I was gonna ask you, I know you know who those two people up front were, but what song was that they were grooving to?
Oh, don't ask me. Don't put me on the spot. I'm not a music person.
Does anybody in the audience know what song and what
I'm
singer?
sure
that
somebody does.
All right. Andrea, let's see, we have a chat here. Let me 134 million followers for Barack Obama. And yes, Medea is right, it is Thriller by Michael Jackson. So all right, I'm gonna go.
All right, let's do something practical.
Yeah.
Let's talk about putting a Twitter together with C-SPAN video.
Right.
How long do you want the video clip to be? Is it always a clip? What's the sort of the practical elements there that people will want to take away from this?
Perfect. And in fact, I'm going to answer by incorporating, Andrea has put in the chat, how do you select which videos for the different audience C-SPAN has on Twitter, Instagram, and now TikTok? So let's wrap all that together. To answer that question, there's two ways to go about answering the question. C-SPAN has, by having an official corporate account, and we run ads on C-SPAN, we can run longer videos on Twitter than I can as an individual. And that's an important, I'll get to why that's important. Let me answer the question first as me, and then I'll answer it as C-SPAN, because there is a bit of difference. For me, Howard Mortman, my clip is limited. You saw all the clips here I've played. Everything is below 2 minutes and 20 seconds. That's the magic number for a Twitter clip, is you can't be longer than 2 minutes and 20 seconds. So and that does not apply, by the way, for Facebook or for YouTube. But for Twitter, they limit it to 2 minutes and 20 seconds, which for me, it's kind of, I'm totally fine with it because it allows you to really get to the nub of it. But I still want it to breathe a little bit. I want to put both sides for context. Now, I'm going to go and put the C-SPAN corporate hat on. Those videos are longer. It can be as long as, I think we've have topped out like at 10 minutes for videos. That allows us as C-SPAN to do like full exchanges from hearings. Here's the full question that a senator or congressman has asked, and here's the full response that the hearing witness has given. That's important because at that point, we want as much context as possible, and for us to stay out of it. When it gets shorter, then you start playing around with a little bit of the editorializing of getting to the point. Now, that doesn't hurt us. Believe it or not, the longer videos for us sometimes do better than the shorter videos because people do want to see fuller exchanges. So for the C-SPAN side of stuff, a longer video actually works. And Andrea, I want to include your question here. For Twitter and Instagram and TikTok, we do a lot as a company on Twitter from the main C-SPAN account. That's more of our rolling TikTok, use a different phrasing there, of what's happening during the day in the news. So Twitter is kind of like our accounting of here's all the political news today, or Congress news or White House news. We are more selective, on Instagram, far more selective on TikTok, and Facebook. The big stuff will put on a big moment or link it to the full speech. What we do as a practice for C-SPAN on Twitter, if we clip out a moment, here's President Biden speaking in Philadelphia over the weekend, and his remarks about Paul Pelosi as an example, we'll clip that out, but then we'll say, go here for the full event on cspan.org. So we're always careful, just as a good corporate practice, to say we want people, we ultimately want to drive people to the website. This is not about necessarily driving people to Twitter. It's the tool we use, but the business purpose is to get more awareness of the website. So we say, go here for the full video. And then, then the big picture for that is people can see the whole 3-hour program for their own. It's a little different for me. I don't really drive traffic to the website as much. But what we do in all cases, and this is a more in the weeds part of the answer, is downloading video. Downloading, if you're clipping and sharing, you're far more likely to get traction by allowing people to see the downloaded video within the tweet itself, rather than saying go offsite to see it. This is relatively new being a couple years. In the past, before that, I would tweet out, go to the video library and see it. But the 3 examples I've played so far have all been within the Twitter, the Twitter app or platform itself, where I play the downloaded video. C-SPAN will still send you to offsite meeting back to the video library for that.
Okay, that's I have some more questions, of course, and Howard has more things to show, but is there any questions from the audience at this point? We'll go a little early to the audience because we want this to be as interactive as possible. So raise your virtual hand and we'll call on you. You don't have to do it right now, but if something comes to you, go ahead and do that. So you're the communications director for C-SPAN. Does C-SPAN use Twitter in any other ways other than pushing the video library?
So yes, so we use it. The huge big bucket that we use it for is schedule information. It's letting people know when something is happening. We have kind of an internal rule. It's not, we're full of rules of C-SPAN, but it's kind of our way of operating is there are 2 big areas: share clips, but also share programming information. Let people know when an event is live, or if it's not live, a first airing of an important event. So for some examples today, at 10 a.m., Supreme Court oral argument live on C-SPAN. We tweeted out that was happening. We will tweet out when events begin. I think President Biden is speaking later today, I believe in New York, I think is where he is. And he'll have an event, I believe, live on C-SPAN. So we will alert people that events are happening live. That is hugely important. These aren't the most viral tweets, people, aren't really sharing it, but it's really important for us to tell the audience that we are covering these events. And here's a case where in all cases, we will link to the website. We'll say, this is happening live. Here's the link to the website. Hopefully it's also happening live on television, but that's not always the case. Not everything that's happening live on the website is happening on TV, but we will use that. Now, if 40% of the time is clips, 40% is schedule information, 20% is roughly more promotional, and not in a bad sense, more of like, this weekend here's what our debate coverage will look like coming up. Here is, we have a new tool on the website, the video library. Here's how you can use it. Sometimes it's thanking our, the cable, the television providers who pay for us. So it's some message, some corporate messaging like that. But for the most part, it is video-driven, video-related kind of tweets that we do on the corporate level.
Okay. When do you know when you've hit something big?
The easy way to know that is through the view count of numbers of viewers. It's funny, that doesn't always correspond with other metrics. Number of viewers don't correspond. Can I use this time to show an example of something unexpectedly hit big?
Sure.
All right. Here's an example of, and I still get, let me see if I can find really fast. I'm just going through. Oh, you know what? This actually isn't the biggest thing, but this unexpectedly was big. Let's see. I won't play the whole thing.
The first vote.
Nationality, your first name? I'm Natalie. Natalie Biden, now voting.
Yes.
I'll pause there just because so that got, I didn't expect 6,000 views out of that. But the Biden folks thought that was endearing. Biden haters thought, here she has to show voter ID. How come that's such a big deal to have to show voter ID? There's one other in here. If I can't find it quick, I'm gonna do a quick search. Oh yeah, here's an example of the Biden haters pulling out the picture of him and kissing his granddaughter and saying, here, that's more of that stuff. There's one in here, if I can find it really fast. All right, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to do a search, Dr. Browning, with you right now, so people can see how this actually is a real life search, Twitter advanced, and what I'm doing, because I know what I'm looking for here. And I'm going to, if for Twitter users in this call, in this meeting, will recognize this immediately. I'm searching my own account for Elton John. Not a typical C-SPAN search, but this one, 3.8 million views for me on Twitter. So let's let this play.
To present, it's my great honor, and I mean this sincerely, to present the National Humanities Medal to Sir Elton John. Major Yang, please read the citation.
Honored, sir. Good evening, everyone. The President of the United States awards this National Humanities Medal to Sir Elton John for moving our souls with his powerful voice in one of the defining songbooks of all time. An enduring icon and advocate with absolute courage, who found purpose to challenge convention, shatter stigma, and advance the simple truth that everyone deserves to be treated with dignity and respect.
I think we surprised him.
I just said to the First Lady, I'm never flabbergasted, but I'm flabbergasted. I'm humbled and honored by this incredible award from the United States of America. I will treasure this so much, and it will make me double my efforts to make sure this disease goes away. Your kindness, America's kindness to me as a musician is second to none. But in the war against AIDS and HIV, it's even bigger. And I can't thank you enough. I'm really emotional about this. Thank you.
By the way, it's all his fault that we're spending $6 billion in taxpayer money this month to help fight HIV/AIDS.
All right, I want to stop it there. Now, Dr. Brown, I'm going to come to you. I'm going to make 2 points about that video. Then I'm going to quiz you about that video you just saw. The 2 points were one is 3 point, to answer your question, 3.8 million. That's big for me personally. So that was neat to see, and not for myself, but neat to see. You saw the C-SPAN logo in there, so people saw that we have that video. So I think that's the thrill. That's the exciting part. Second, a very practical point, when you asked earlier about how long and tell us how do you decide what to use. That length of that video was 2 minutes and 16 seconds. So again, 2 minutes and 20 seconds max for me as an individual on Twitter. So I clipped it in there right at 2:16. Now, I'm going to quiz you, Dr. Browning. There was something other than how great that moment was, and just there's something very, I think it was unique, and the only time something happened. And what am I thinking is the only time? So he gave out the Humanities Medal to Elton John. And then what did Elton John do? Did he speak or did he not speak?
He spoke.
He spoke. I think, Dr. Browning, having searched the video library for other humanities medal recipients, that was the first time, at least through our video library, that a recipient of that medal has given words, spoken words.
Yeah, you might be right. Remember the one that he gave to Rush Limbaugh? That was Trump, and it was a different award. But I was thinking of times where there haven't been at the White House.
Right, that could be where they spoke and not at the White. Yeah. Oh, they're right. Okay, so outside of the that award he gave
Outside of the East Room.
Yeah, outside of the East Room. That's interesting too. Different venues for that.
Yes.
I think they gave Angela Merkel a medal. Obama did outside of the East Room. I think they gave her the Medal of Freedom. One of the medals. By the way, I have to say that clip is not just frivolous, being a celebrity. It's giving away a presidential medal, but they also talked funding. They also talked about, $8 billion that Biden cited. So there's a legitimate, policy side to that clip, other than just, him not singing a song, but talking about why do we award these medals? Well, he fought for funding for the battle HIV, for a battle against AIDS. So legitimate C-SPAN purpose behind that clip as well.
Very good. Very good. Any hands around the place to have questions? How do you search for celebrities?
So I'm trying to think of an example. Well, you mentioned death at the beginning. Celebrity deaths are a lot of fun because typically they've appeared. I'm trying to think of anybody really big lately. And I would show an example. Give me a celebrity, Dr. Browning. Any throw out the name of a celebrity here or there, and I'm trying to think if I have video I've done to match that.
Howard, how about Ashton Kutcher?
Oh, yeah. I can actually, thank you. Ashton Kutcher is a great one. And I could do that from C-SPAN because C-SPAN he's testified. So let me actually, for this purpose, now I might stumble because he's got a different, it may not be spelled, he's got a handle name I can't recall. Okay, here we go. This is legitimate to search. So let's just do this. Up comes, let's just play this for a little bit. Okay, just to back up, I went back into advanced search, and Dr. Rennie, you can see the screen now, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to the C-SPAN account, not from Wortman, but from C-SPAN, and just searching Kutcher. And up comes a clip from when he testified 5 years ago. Let's just 5.5 years ago. Wow. Let's just play this.
I'm here today to defend the right to pursue happiness. It's a simple notion, the right to pursue happiness. It's bestowed upon all of us by our Constitution. Every citizen of this country has the right to pursue it. And I believe that it is incumbent upon us as citizens of this nation, as Americans, to bestow that right upon others, upon each other, and upon the rest of the world. But the right to pursue happiness for so many is stripped away. It's raped. It's abused. It's taken by force, fraud, or coercion. It is sold for the momentary happiness of another. And this is about the time when I start talking about politics that the internet trolls tell me to stick to my day job. So I'd like to talk about my day job. My day job is as the chairman and the co-founder of Thorn. We build software to fight human trafficking and the sexual exploitation of children. And that's our core mission. My other day job is that of the father of two, a 2-month-old and a 2-year-old. And as part of that job that I take very seriously, I believe that it is my effort to defend their right to pursue happiness and to ensure a society and government that defends it as well.
Okay, I'm gonna keep on the screen because I want to do a couple things here. I wanted, so we showed a clip of Ashton Kutcher testifying. Again, legitimate for us to do because he testified in a hearing. We sent crews, we covered it. But also we talked earlier about not just the clip, but promoting our coverage. So here right below it is we tweeted out, actually, this is a great one. This picture here came from the camera crew on site, and they sent us, our crew chief sent us the picture of Ashton Kutcher is going to be testifying. And then that's the promo. Now, if this link still works, if hopefully it still works, and no, it doesn't work anymore. Well, if the link worked, this is an example I was mentioning, we want to send people to the website. This is our chance to say, here's the full event. Very important, the Ashton Kutcher example here, because probably he was not the only witness. Probably there were 4 or 5 other people testifying, experts in the human trafficking issue, and people can watch the whole event there. So that's an example of a celebrity that we've tweeted from. And I'm going to stop sharing and go back to Dr. Browning now.
Probably we talk about Stephen Colbert testifying before Congress. That's a great one to watch because he wasn't very effective. He sort of bombed in a way because he tried to be too cute with Congress people. But when we have musicians, they play up to the musicians. They say, I love your songs. Can I have your album? The album, if they still talk in terms of albums, autograph. And so any other observations you want to make about tell me what are some of the differences of the other media, not the other media companies, but of Instagram or I know you're not, those aren't your things, but what for the other people who are working in the company, what do they have to do differently for those platforms?
You know what? That's a great question because the specifics for Instagram, the sizing of the video are different than the sizing of video for Twitter and for Facebook. So often, if we are making a video, we do have to look at it. Graphics, our graphic shop has to make graphics that are friendly for Instagram, and they aren't always friendly for Twitter. So we do have to accommodate for those platforms. It's funny, the Instagram and TikTok are getting further and further away from the core C-SPAN mission because those are at their core are quick, like instant stuff. Versus Twitter, we let things breathe more for context. Context doesn't always work, for the shortest of the platforms. For Instagram, we also make an accommodation of we manually insert captioning. Sean, who does our Instagram account, does the captioning for all the Instagram videos we push because a lot of people don't have the volume up on Instagram. So that's something we manually have to do for that. Now, one thing we don't do, and in fact, I can show if I have the screen here, I can show one thing we haven't talked about that's a neat application of the video library for using in social media are montages or collages of putting different videos together. So do you mind if I go in that direction for a moment? And
go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm going to share screen. I live in iMovie, and okay, let's see, share. Okay, and do you see me again, Dr. Browning? Okay. All right, good. I am going to open up. Here's just, I'm gonna go to projects. So here's different videos. I'm actually gonna kill this off here that I've downloaded. And this is why I love the download function of the video library, because at this point I can go back and I want to see if all my, a couple projects are here. I am going to play. Yeah, okay. Let me just. I can play this from Twitter, but I also want to just play this from here. So I'm going to play this video. It's 2 minutes. I did this for Twitter, but I'll play it from iMovie. I created this video I'm going to show you to promote the weekly podcast, which is, you mentioned, this is the podcast that I do on C-SPAN radio that connects to the video library. So there's like a lot of different things happening here. I'm just gonna play it straight from here. We'll talk about this.
I think that I have some responsibility for it.
Oh, I'm sorry. The only context I'm gonna give, this is for a podcast I did that 2 weeks ago on presidents reacting to midterm elections. And the podcast was, the premise is how important the day after the midterm election press conference is. And here are some examples using the video library of the day after press conferences. Let me just start again now. It's and as you see here, 2 minutes and 4 seconds. Again, 2 minutes and 20 seconds max for Twitter.
I think that I have some responsibility for it. I'm the president. I'm the leader of the efforts that we have made in the last 2 years. And to whatever extent that we didn't do what the people wanted us to do, or they were not aware of what we had done, I must certainly bear my share of responsibility, and I accept that.
The American people sent us a message that would break the eardrums of anyone who was listening. They want their business tended to. They are tired of seeing Washington focused on politics and personalities. They want the people and their issues and their future taken care of.
If there is a mandate in any election, at least in this one, it's the people want something to get done. They want people to work together in Washington, D.C. to pass meaningful legislation which will improve their lives. This is a close election. If you look at race by race, it was close. The cumulative effect, however, was not too close. It was a thumping. Nevertheless, the people expect us to work together. That's what they expect.
No, I'm not recommending for every future president that they take a shellacking like I did last night. There's no doubt that Republicans had a good night.
It was a big day yesterday, incredible day. Enormous appreciation in regards to Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. We really worked very well together. We have been working very well together. We actually have a great relationship. People just don't understand that, which is fine. And also to perhaps, looks like, I would think, Speaker Nancy Pelosi. And I give her a lot of credit. She works very hard and she's worked long and hard. I give her a great deal of credit for what she's done and what she's accomplished.
Okay, Dr. Browning, I'm going to talk about that, but while I want to get your reaction to that, I want to explain a couple of things about that. But since I'm already, before I de-share screen, and since Trump mentioned Nancy Pelosi, let me just play one more video straight from my download, my desktop here, and then we'll talk about both.
Yeah, it's hard to look at all these to sort of project what Biden might say.
Yep. All right, give me a second. Let me play this, if I can open this up, and then we'll talk about these clips here. Well, actually, this is not what never mind. All right, let me actually, I can, hold a second. Let me, I need to search one more thing here, and then we will, I'm going to bring you in to talk about this and what we just saw there. Give me a second. I'm just searching because I know exactly what I'm looking for. Okay, I'm searching me again. This is something I did over the weekend on Saturday. It kind of speaks for itself, but here's an example of video that we have in C-SPAN. Let's see. Okay, here's what I want to play for you. This is just 27 seconds.
I also want to thank my own family.
All right, here we go.
I also want to thank my own family, my husband of 45 years, Paul Pelosi, who is the, where's Paul? Children, Nancy, Corinne, Christine, Jacqueline, Paul, and Alexandra, and our grandchildren.
All right, let me stop it there. And let me stop screening, coming back to you. Two things on the first one we showed. You're right, like what's Biden going to say the day after? But that's an example of creating, of using, doing multiple searches in the video library, finding what you want, downloading the clips, putting together one iMovie. And it's a lot of fun when it comes together like that. And I'll get your reflection on that one second. The second one, obviously, now, he doesn't appear in the video library, Paul Pelosi, because at least in that clip, because he wasn't speaking. So what I used there was just, I searched Paul Pelosi and he came up in mentions because she mentioned him. Fortunately, when she talks about her husband, she doesn't just say Paul, she says Paul Pelosi when she talks about it. So she actually comes up a couple times. So give me your reaction, Dr. Bowney, to both of those videos you just saw.
Well, that you make an important point about the video library. The mentions are good because they pick up the text. There was one the other day where President Biden appeared in Philadelphia, and I kept looking for a video of Fetterman and Biden, but there wasn't one. He didn't speak. And so in that case, we told the catalogers to put his name in the abstract that he was present, but didn't speak, because that's important later for somebody trying to find if there's any joint appearances of the president and Fetterman. So
can I thank you publicly as a user of that? Your including names in the abstract has been critical for my searching. And again, I know we are being purist and true that in that case, Fetterman doesn't speak, but he's there, and that's what you are looking for. So thank you. And I know that's a longer process to get all the names in there, but the more names you put in has been so helpful for the searching, and the abstract is absolutely critical for that. So thank you for that.
right. That's good. And so what's are you looking forward to this last week? It seems like the election should be tomorrow. It's late this year because of how tomorrow is November 1st, and it has to be in the second week.
Well, one thing I am going to miss are the debates, our coverage of debates. So, Dr. Bowney, I know we're coming toward the end. Can I just play us out with a couple favorite debate moments?
Sure.
Video library. I'm going to go back in because I haven't set this one up yet. I'm going to go back into share screen. And thank you for the cue on that. And share. And again, I'm going to search on Twitter just because I don't have them handy. So I'm going to go back, as we've done throughout this presentation, go to @HowardMortman. And let's just do October is debate month because I've tweeted that a lot. Okay, let's see. October, let's see what we have here. October is debate month at C-SPAN. And oh, here's two fun ones. Okay, let's do a fun one from the Vermont governor debate. Let's do a fun clip from our coverage of the Vermont governor debate. Here we go.
Please name one individual action you have taken to lower your own carbon footprint, Governor Scott.
Whether it's the electrical vehicle for state security that drives me around, but also I live that, I recycle, I have solar panel, I do everything we can. We keep our heat down to 58. I mean, we do everything.
That is very cold. It
is very cold.
Please name
okay, another great clip from our coverage of debates is here is I used I downloaded two clips to do this one here. So let's just play this one. This is where I went to iMovie to do this.
Delicious Aquafina water. Did I mention that Hillary Communications and Fowler Auto Group have sponsored that bar? So feel free if you need to get another beverage. We're heading into round 3. Somebody get me a drink ready back there.
All right, so that's the moderator of the Oklahoma governor debate saying how much he needed a drink to get through the debate. That's from this. So by the way, this is one of my favorites here.
Liberty is the most expensive commodity in the world today.
By the way, people don't know that actually is Dr. Browning's staff. That's how he has his catalogers, typing fast and committed to liberty. That's known by many people. Let's just do one more historical context here. This is the first time, Dr. Browning, that in our coverage of the Vermont Senate race debates, neither candidate is named Leahy or Sanders for the first time in our coverage of debate. So let's just play what debates look like when a Leahy or Sanders was involved.
No, I think I would like to be able to quit on my own steam. I'm 46 years old. I've got a long time to make a lifetime career. I don't intend to do that. I want to be able to spend some time with my children, my family. Senators from Vermont have tended to serve for a long time because of the fact of seniority has been very important to us. I was a strong supporter of civil unions. I believe that. I believe voted against the DOMA bill. I believe that the federal government should not be involved in overturning Massachusetts or any other state, because I think, Stuart, the whole issue of marriage is a state issue. That's what it is. So that is my view on that.
Okay, so there's states' rights advocate Bernie Sanders. And finally, a favorite debate moment. This is an 8-second clip. Let's just play this, speak for itself.
With all due respect, why on earth would you let 2 disc jockeys into your shower, take your clothes off, and let yourself be photographed? With all due respect, why on earth?
To get the answer to that, you have to go to the C-SPAN video library to find out from the San Francisco mayor's debate. Let me stop sharing and get Dr. Browning's reflection on those 4 rapid-fire lightning round clips just played.
Wow, there's a lot in those debates. There clearly is. We always remember the guy from New Hampshire who appears with a boot on his head.
Vermin Supreme, Supreme, yes.
Yeah, Vermin. Yeah, so there's always something in these debates, and whether it might be the moderator, the setting, the time that Smith of New Hampshire took the podium away from Sununu. He wouldn't let him stand at the tall podium, at the short podium, and because he had a telephone book and something behind it. So anyway, lots of great stuff. You can always depend upon Howard to find it and to tweet it out. So we hope that this session has been helpful for you to sort of get a sense of what you can do and how you should do it, and are just to be entertained. Thank you so much, Howard. And thank you all for joining us. And we'll end there.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, everybody.
It's nice to be able to do these and have a different take on it.
Mm-hmm.
So we can attract a couple of different people than our usual crew, expand that, perception of what you can and can't do with the C-SPAN video library.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's right.
And I have to be careful because you never know when Susan Swain is watching this video. So I have to make sure everything is on a serious policy level rather than just frivolous stuff all day. So
well, there's been a few deviations from that, Howard.
Oh,
Do you remember the time where the 2 kids showed up at the White House for trick-or-treating?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think you showed that one.
Wait, do we have that?
Yeah, I don't know whether they were who they were, whether they were grandchildren.
Fine, dude, I love that. I will do that right now. This is a complete blank to me. I don't know this.
Let me think. Who was? Whether it could have been Michelle or Mrs. Bush. I'll look for it.
I want that. That's great. That's the big win out of this. Good. I want that.
All right.
All right, guys.
Thanks much.
All right. Take care.
All right, Howard. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.
Okay. Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.